meadow sky. Friday night's calling and the towns go quiet. From Doug Shaw Memorial to John McKissick Field, Carolina football, it's the heart we feel. Pickup trucks line up, tailgates in a row, Hyde Stadium's rocking, Abbeville's ready to go. The Sumter Gamecocks charge, Gaffney's standing tall, every small town's dreaming neath the lights of fall. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. In Gilbert, America, the bleachers fill with pride. Cheerleaders shout, the band's playing, no one's staying inside. The boys in pads hit hard, chasing that old dream. Under stadium lights, it's more than just a team. Mamas clutch their programs, daddies yell the calls, grandpas talk of legends in these hallowed football halls. From the low country marshes to the upstate's clay, four-quarter Friday lights the Carolina way. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. Shaw's roar to McKissick's sacred ground. Hot stadium's fire, you can feel the sound. Sumter Gamecocks fly, Gaffney holds a line, J-Mo run the dang ball, we're screaming for a sign. Rivalries burn bright, the clock's ticking down. On four-quarter Friday, we're the talk of the town. When the whistle blows and the scoreboard fades away, the lessons from the field guide us every day. Teamwork, grit, and pride, it's more than just a score. Carolina football's what we're fighting for. From the PD rivers to the upstate's misty hills, four-quarter Friday gives our hearts a thrill. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. So here's to the Palmetto boys, giving it their all on a four-quarter Friday. South Carolina stands tall.
We're back! We're back! What they gonna say now? What are they gonna say? It's about time they put respect on this JP. No more.
Welcome to Four-Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network, talking South Carolina high school sports every Friday morning, hosted by Justin Hall and Steve Hall, with weekly appearances from coaches, players, and media around the state. Let's go! kick off the first quarter. Here's Justin and Steve. Happy Friday.
Spot the damn ball. Justin, we're here again. Week 2, or some say week 1. What do we have ready for everybody today?
The people who say week 1, first of all, are wrong. Let's start there. It is week 2, and this program is one of the few that will honor math, numbers, and chronology. There were games played last week in week 1. This week is week 2. We got a lot coming up. We're waiting on head coach Norman Washington from the Spring Valley Vikings. You saw him as the show kicked off. What a win last week for them. Just really quickly, the reason why he's on the program, number one, is he's a great football coach. The second reason we have him on the program is because Spring Valley had one of the wins of the week last week, maybe one of the wins of the year, and we're barely starting. Down 19-0 to their arch rival, Richland Northeast. They come from behind, down 19-0 in the third quarter. They come from behind and they win in overtime, 22-19. Not only do they win that game in that fashion, that win is to break a 2+ year losing streak. Not a 2+ week, 2+ month. No, 2+ year losing streak is broken. And they get that win over RNE. So we're waiting on him to join us if he's going to able to come in. Obviously, sometimes we're going to have these moments where school systems and their Wi-Fi's are kind of crazy, and it's a little bit harder for the coaches. We're going to try to get him. Later on in the program, look forward to this. Lou Bezjak, Uncle Lou, as he is affectionately called in my circles, will join us at the tail end of the program on the back half as we preview the Midland slate and look at some games from across the state and some players that folks need to keep an eye on this week and keep an eye on throughout the season as recruiting starts to ramp up here for the Gamecocks, the Tigers, the Chanticleers, and everybody else across the state and across the country. If you've got a game you're going to be at tonight, drop that in the chat. We want to hear from you. What game are you going to? Because guess what, folks? Every day this week, I have opened up the screen door to the backyard and just let that cool air swarm into the house with low humidity. It's football weather. Perhaps your coffee has a little tinge of pumpkin spice. Who's to say? Who's to say if that's okay yet? But it's football weather, and we got a full loaded slate of football tonight, Steve. It's going to be a great matchup. Great matchups throughout the state. Got a lot of when you're looking for a game of the week nominee, it's hard to find one because there are so many great games tonight, Steve. But as we kick off here in the PD, we're going to go through the whole gamut as we do throughout every region. If you're new to Four Quarter Friday, Justin Hall, Steve Hall with you on the Chief Sports Network. Be sure to hang around on the Chief Sports Network, by the way. 10 a.m., we're debuting the preview show. That's going to be every Friday during football season. And I'm telling you, those guys have a lot to squeeze in from 10 to 1, but they're going to do it. It's going to be great. It's going to get you fired up for Sunday at 3 o'clock. You're going to want to tune into that. As we look at the PD here, Steve, what game are you most intrigued by in this PD slate?
Well, I mean, Hartsville's opening up their season as well as Carolina Forest, and it'll be at Carolina Forest, so that'll be interesting. A big 5A program hosting a smaller team, but a team that is coached by Coach Calabrese, and they win a lot of football games in Hartsville. And I'm representing the Hartsville Red Foxes today, and hey, when you have a chance to go into Hartsville, you're going to go to Ruth's Drive-In, especially before game day.
Nice.
So yeah, man. And I also, side note, I call it, and I don't think it's caught on yet, but it's the biggest small town in South Carolina. And they seem to win a lot of titles, too.
You're going to get some arguments from people on that one, though, Steve. You're going to get some arguments. That's a debate.
There's a lot of good ones. There's no doubt.
Right. So he's made the claim. Steve has staked his flag in Kellytown on this. Not only drop in the chat where you're going to be tonight to follow games and watch the games, put in what's the biggest small town in our state when it comes to high school football. We want to hear from you on that. I saw in the chat, just really quick before we get, Roger's going to be at Fountain Inn at Woodruff. We're going to get to that game later. Woodruff's got Aiden Gibson running the football for them. He's a South Carolina target, a potential South Carolina commit down the road. So we're keeping an eye on that too, and Gamecock fans probably should as well. So Roger's going to be there. If you're at a game or not, be sure to download the Chief Sports app. Every score from across the state right here on your cell phone device. You can get that just by downloading the Chief Sports app. It's free, so do it. All right, let's rock and roll. It's the PD. It's time to look at the PD section of the state. We start in
Coach Washington in.
We
So let's
do?
go ahead and get our interview and talk about some Spring Valley Vikings.
Look at him drop in here.
Coach, how are you doing today?
Hey, gentlemen, I'm doing well. Doing well.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Coach. All right, let's start here. We saw the video off the top. It's the video. I think Lou's the one who caught that. Describe the emotion, if you can, after last week's win.
I'm sorry, it kind of cut out. What did you say?
Can you describe the emotions after the win last week? Just what was that like?
What was the win like last week? That's
Yeah.
what you asked. Just kind of want to make sure I asked the right question.
That's right.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it was great. We had a rivalry game week one. I kind of talked to our guys about, the Clemson, South Carolina. You just think about it. Normally that's at the end of the year in college, but we had to start off week one with ours. But it was definitely great just talking to our guys. And, our word was just action. Like, hey, I want to see you guys take the proper action on the field. And we had some adversity early on. Everybody knows, hey, the score is 19-0. Third quarter, about 8 minutes left. But I just saw our guys kept fighting. And we had a lot of self-inflicted wounds early on, and that's why the score reflected that. But we were able to kind of balance ourselves together and stay a part of the mission, what we were trying to do, like just take one play at a time. And Tucker, I mean, I'm glad I have him on our side. I mean, a senior kicker. He was a soccer player, and came out and he was perfect for us. Told me, Coach, hey, you kind of get it in this area, I'll be great. And he did just that. So I think that was just great for that whole experience.
Coach, you talked about your kicker with the game-winning kick and overtime. Who are some of the other players that really played a key role in bringing y'all back and winning that helping y'all win that ball game?
First, I had to start off with sophomore Kavion Dawson. He played some DB for us. He had 2 interceptions. I think 7 tackles, sack, a couple tackles for losses. The 2 interceptions were huge. The first one put us in great position for Grady to kick the first field goal, and then, heck, he got the interception in overtime and put Grady in position, and the offense in position to, get a little bit closer comfort level. And we were able to knock it in. Dylan Redden, senior for us. I mean, he did everything. I mean, running back, tight end, DB. I mean, he kind of just was a great utility player for us. It came down to guys kind of locking in, and I think Bryson Hughie, I'm sorry, my D lineman, I call him Huggy because that's what all the guys call him. But I mean, he played exceptionally well for us on the defensive line and kind of helped set the tone for us a lot. And heck, he had an interception as well that just that close, and you got to talk about a quarterback. I want to see a big man touchdown dance.
Right. So, Coach, going ahead, that's in the rear view. I know you've already talked to your players all week about that. That's last week. You broke the streak. Congratulations. Yeah. But guess what? You're basically 0-0 again. Got to go out and beat a nameless, faceless opponent that happens to be named Lower Richland. What are you looking for this week from your Vikings team as you guys go on the road to take on the Diamond Hornets?
Oh man, I talk to my guys, and the biggest thing since I've gotten here, I've been talking about culture. Teaching them a culture, teaching them a little bit about what we've been able to do. From this week on Sunday, I told our guys, hey, we're 0-0. Like, you had your 24 hours to celebrate. And now we're moving on to a new week. LR is another historic program as well, that they normally have great talent. And that game is always physical as well. So it all comes down to our preparation, our execution. So we've been talking about execution a lot with our guys, kind of honing in on that, the details of like, hey, what is required of me to execute this play on a high level in all phases. So that's been our focus this week. Hey, we're still 0-0, but there was a lot of things on us to be successful.
Coach Washington, thanks so much for joining us, man. And my dad's a Spring Valley grad, so it's always good to see the Vikings win on a Friday night. And heck, that's kind of a little about what South Carolina football, high school football is all about, is a Viking team winning on a Friday night.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here. We look forward to watching you the rest of the way.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. That's Coach Norman Washington in his first season at his alma mater at Spring Valley, getting a big win last week over RNE. Really quickly, we'll roll through the PD as fast as I can. Let me see if I can get this going, Steve. All right, let's go to Latta. Let's go to Latta, South Carolina. They're hosting the Swamp Foxes of Marion tonight. Latta looking to go 2-0 in that one. Carolina Forest, we mentioned it. They're hosting Hartsville tonight. Hartsville is at Carolina Forest to open their season. The Braves of Sherrall will try to hold Marlboro County to under 19. The Atlanta Braves couldn't do that last night against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Conway Tigers host the Loris Lions. The Daniel Lions will host Stratford as Stratford opens their season. Dillon hosts Socastee. Dillon had that rough game last week against the Scots. They'll try to get back on track inside the state of South Carolina. East Clarendon hosts Richland Secondary. The Jags at the Wolverines there. The Lake City Panthers have the Timberland Wolves coming to town. Lake City at home trying to get to 1-1 on the season. Again, these games, we're not in region play yet for a lot of teams. We'll get there in a minute. We're not in region play yet. You're still trying to find out who you are and trying to better your team to get ready for region play here. The Lake Marion Gators host the Calhoun County Saints. Someone's going to get their first win of the season in that one. Both teams 0-0 or 0-1, excuse me. The Lakeview Wild Gators host the Mullins Auctioneers. Mullins, home of the Fighting Xavier Legettes. The Gators of Lakewood hosting the Westwood Warhawks. Again, both teams 0-1. Someone's getting their first win tonight there. Burke travels to Lee Central to open their season. McBee is on the road at North Central. McBee trying to get their first win of the season. Here's one of my games of the week in the PD. It's Darlington at North Myrtle Beach. The Chiefs hosting the Falcons. Both teams 1-0. Darlington is turning heads throughout the offseason, throughout the preseason, and in week one, trying to rebuild that program, Steve. If they get a win tonight at North Myrtle Beach, hello, they've arrived.
Coach Jamie Johnson's doing a great job over there. They've steadily made improvements each year since he's been there. Culture, a lot of these coaches are talking about culture, and he's doing a great job of building that standard. And so they got high expectations for themselves. So, yes, I agree. Myrtle
Beach goes to West Florence tonight. West Florence coming off of that drubbing at the hands of their arch rival South Florence. Myrtle Beach looking to get to 2-0. And then the Clear Dot Charter Bats. And by bats, I mean the animal. They're 0-1. They're going to West Oak to take on the Warriors. The Warriors trying to move to 2-0. That's your look at the PD region of the state. We'll come back on the other side. We hit the upstate. And boy, are there some big games there. Justin Hall, Steve Hall. It's 4-Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network.
Football season. The Barn Dominium Company wants to help you build your dream home with your dream space to watch the games and entertain your friends and family. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com for floor plans, photo galleries, locations, and to learn more about us.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Check the statewide high school scoreboard every Friday night on the Chief Sports app.
And we're back. Justin, we're going to run into the upstate scores now, or not scores, but the games. So why don't you lead us off?
All right, we got a lot here. In case you are unaware, if you're new to high school football in South Carolina, the upstate and the low country are going to be where a predominant number of games occur in the state during a normal Friday. So we got a lot to run through. So let's start. Abbeville, the Panthers host the Patriots of Powdersville. Abbeville looking to go to 2-0 on the season, while BHP is hosting Greer. The Yellow Jackets trying to get their first win on the road at BHP. Going to be a tall task for them. Just looking down here, Belton Honeypath was receiving votes last week. Trying to find them on my. Yep, they're number 1 in Class 3A. So a tough draw for Greer tonight, getting the number 1 team in 3A. The Eastside Eagles go to the Trojans of Carolina tonight. Eastside looking to move to 2-0 there. Fort Mill and Chester, 2 teams, 1-0. Both of them trying to get to 2-0. We'll find out who comes out unscathed on the other side in terms of the record. And then Hillcrest goes to Clover tonight. The Blue Eagles hosting the Rams of Hillcrest. Hillcrest got a win last week. Clover, under Coach Wilbright, trying to get their first win of the season. And that's a tough task to get from the away team. Crescent hosting Palmetto tonight. Both teams 0-1, trying to get a win there. We'll see which one comes out on top. Here's your first ding, ding, ding game of the week we're looking at. Catawba Ridge going to Dorman. Both teams 1-0. Steve, Dorman looked pretty good last week defensively, if my recollection is good. But they get a tough draw there with Catawba Ridge coming to town.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, Dorman's playing at home, which is, home field advantage, but Catawba Ridge is bringing in a lot of talent. And Dorman has a lot of talent too. So this is definitely going to be a fun one to watch tonight.
No doubt. And then JL Mann is going to Gaffney. The Indians fell on the reservation last week to Independence out of North Carolina. And that game, Gaffney had it in hand, a 2-score lead through much of the game. Late, you get a punt return for touchdown to make it 28-21. And that's the final score. Gaffney fans are not very thrilled about that. We talked to Cole Bryson last week about the Indians and the reloading and acquisition of talent that occurred up on the reservation. Not the start they wanted to get off to there. They try to right the ship against the Patriots of JL Mann, who they are 2-0 against all time. The Golden Rams of Chesterfield fell last week to Johnsonville, but they will travel to Great Falls tonight to take on the Red Devils. Both teams looking for win number 1. And how about this one? The Battle of the Eagles at the Bab over in Greenwood. The Beaufort Eagles, 0-1 on the season. Greenwood opening their season. High expectations up at the Bab this year. Greenwood trying to challenge for a potential state title in 5A. They come into the season ranked number 6 in the media poll. And here might be your game of the week in the entire state. And it's Irmo going on the road to Nixon Field to take on the Burns Rebels. And Burns looked really good last week, Steve.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good.
Trey Segar, I think he rushed for over 100 yards. He's getting pursued by just about every college D1 SEC Power 5, school there is.
Exactly.
And then, it was interesting. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen with quarterback at Irmo. Mm-hmm. And quarterback Drayvon Dobson goes in there and throws 3 touchdowns last week. So I think he had something to say about, is there a 2 quarterback battle or not? So, number 4 going to number 8, according to the media poll.
And I believe that number 8 probably should be higher just based on last week. Again, these are rankings. These are not ratings. So we can have that conversation later, but it should be a great game up there in Burns. Indian Land goes to Lancaster tonight. The Bruins trying to get to 1-1 on the season. They have to defeat the Warriors of Indian Land, who had a good showing last week. The Bulldogs of Berea go to the Cardinals of Landrum, who got a win last week, but Berea's opening their season. We'll see if Landrum can move to 2-0. The Red Devils of Clennon took a loss last week, and a surprising one in terms of the result, I would say, and how it looked. They're 0-1, and they go to Lawrence. Lawrence Raiders trying to get to 1-1. Someone's coming out with a win there. Boiling Springs goes to Malden tonight. Malden, the Mavericks, looking to get to 1-1 on the season, while York will travel to Nation Ford, another set of two teams looking for win number 1, Nation Ford. And the debut of Jake Bentley in the regular season did not go as planned. What a great game back and forth with Blythewood. Blythewood completes the comeback and then holds on at the end. A pass on 4th down, or it was as time expiring, one of the two, maybe both, into the end zone, fell incomplete for Nation Ford as they look to try to tie the game and send it to overtime. The Ridgeview Blazers go to Northwestern tonight. Steve, that looks like a game of the week, but I'm just not sure if Ridgeview, and again, this is not a slight at the Blazers by any stretch of the imagination. Northwestern's got a lot of speed, a lot of team speed, and it's at Northwestern. So I don't know if I want to put a number on it. I don't.
Yeah,
like Ridgeview's chances, but it could turn out to be a great game up there.
Well, I think you definitely would have to say that Ridgeview is going to be the underdog.
Sure.
And they have a great program, and they're going to go in there with a chip on their shoulder and try to improve something. But Northwestern, returns so much off of that state championship team, and a lot of those players are committed or being recruited by the best college football teams in the whole country. So they got their work cut out for them too. But man, that's going to be a lot for a Gamecock fan. That's going to be a lot of purple on the field for sure.
It certainly will be. Paige Wolfer does a great job up there at Northwestern. The Keenan Raiders, excuse me, I almost call them the Red Raiders. We'll get to Greenville in a minute. The W.J. Keenan Raiders take on the Pendleton Bulldogs. Got a bit of a drive there for the Raiders from Columbia up to Pendleton. The Razorbacks of Walhalla will travel over to Pickens to take on the Blue Flame. And one of the biggest small towns in the state of South Carolina, in my opinion, being Pickens. Here we go. The Red Raiders of Greenville will travel to Riverside to take on the Warriors. I have it on good authority, and that authority being the athletic director at Riverside. That team is looking to rebound from a rough end to last season. They got off like gangbusters last year to open the season to Riverside. Big wins over Greenville and others with a high-flying offense, but couldn't really stop anybody defensively. They'll try to move to 2-0 tonight. The Woodmont Wildcats will travel over to Seneca. Seneca looking to move 2-0 as Woodmont opens their season. And here's a game that I've got my eye on that I didn't think I'd have my eye on when I looked at the schedule before the season. South Point fell last week in Charlotte in Bank of America Stadium to Huff. So they're 0-1. They're a really talented football team. They welcome in the Rock Hill Bearcats, who are 1-0 after dispatching the River Bluff Gators last week. And then talking to someone who was heavily involved in that game, when asked about Rock Hill, quote, "Yeah, they're really fast. They got speed." I won't mention who that was. If he's watching, he knows who he is. It should be a great game up there at South Point tonight, Steve. I might take Rock Hill here in the minor upset.
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be any shortage of talent.
No.
I mean, it's Rock Hill, South Carolina, and both teams hail from there. And, it's going to be cool to see kind of what Coach Bulware, an alum at Rock Hill, is going to do in his first year. And they definitely got off to a good start last week going and winning against, I believe it was River Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, this thing, can we find a stream? If anybody out there knows that there's going to be a stream, I need to catch that game for sure.
Oh, I'm sure there are streams galore now. And this is what I love about this new era of high school football is teams and schools are starting to understand that people can't always get out on a Friday night, but they still want to follow the games. There's a lot of YouTube streams out there. You can also stream several games on your phone by downloading the Chief Sports app. That's a great way to catch some games on a Friday night. That's certainly what I do when I'm in a studio doing a show from 7 to 11 on a Friday. I'm watching college football on the big screens, but we've got screens all down here watching high school games. So find a stream. Drop a link in the chat if you've got a stream there. By the way, going to the chat, Roger says Abbeville is the best small town for high school football. When I was growing up, Woodruff was, but now they're not. Trying to get back there, and it's not easy. Graham Simpson is the voice of the Greenwood Eagles. So thanks, Graham. We appreciate your input there. And of course, Lance, yes, we did mention the Flashes. Happy to mention Johnsonville whenever I get the chance. Love the Flashes. All right, back to the upstate. The Red Devils of Liberty go to Southside tonight. Someone's got to win it. They're both 0-1. The Chapman Panthers go to the Knights of St. Joseph's. Chapman's 0-1, and Debo Samuel ain't walking through that door. and Chapman's got to right the ship here. They've fallen on some rough patches here over the last year or two, trying to get on track with win number 1. The Vikings of Emerald will travel to Travelers Rest to take on the Devil Dogs, a.k.a. the Fighting Ryan McGee's. The Blue Ridge Tigers open their season up in the upstate by taking on the Generals of Wade Hampton. Wade Hampton's 0-1 on the season, trying to get to win number 1. Spartanburg Christian will travel to Whitmire to take on the Wolverines. And here's that Fountain Inn Fury and Woodruff Wolverines game. Both teams 1-0. So the Fountain Inn Fury, I have to enunciate there a little bit when it comes to the Southern accent. But Aiden Gibson, we mentioned earlier, running back at Woodruff. He is going to be in Atlanta on Sunday. Hale McGranahan talked with JB and I on the morning show yesterday. Was that yesterday? It was. About Aiden Gibson and interesting stuff about what recruits can and can't do and coaches can and can't do on these neutral site games. But Aiden will be in Atlanta to watch the Gamecocks and the Hokies on Sunday, but he's got a big game tonight. Two teams 1-0 trying to get 2-0. And then finally, the Easley Green Wave, sitting at 1-0, will travel to Wren to take on the Golden Hurricanes. And if you're in the upstate and your nickname is the Golden Hurricanes and you got a logo as cool as Wren, you're a winner in my book. I love that logo. It's a solid.
That's always a big game every year.
A huge game. And Brandon notes in the chat that Clennon's going to play Lawrence. They had a tough loss, close loss to Woodruff last week, and trying to rebound. Clennon coming off a state championship. So they're not bereft of talent by any stretch of the imagination, but they gotta right the ship here. And again, we're not in region play yet for a lot of teams. Some teams are in region play. We'll get to that in the Midlands section of the show. But a loaded slate in the upstate, Steve. Any other games there besides the ones we talked about that might catch your attention at all, or are we settled with our 4 or 5 games of the night up there?
Well, I definitely am going to be keeping an eye on Greenwood. Those are two really hard-nosed football teams. They like to run the ball and they like to hit people really hard. So both those coaching staffs do a great job. But we got to get to a break, and we'll go through the low country in the Midlands, and then let Lou kind of help us close up the Midlands in the fourth quarter. But coming right at you next.
Palm Casual Outdoor Patio Furniture proudly supports high school athletics across South Carolina. If it's time to make your outdoor space the best it can be, with lifetime warranties and guarantees, visit one of our Palm Casual stores in Myrtle Beach, Bluffton, Somerville, or Mount Pleasant. PalmCasual.com. PalmCasual.com. Turn on the lights. It's Friday night.
At Moultrie Insurance, our agents are working for you. Our commercial lines of coverage are well-sourced and intimately chosen. We offer commercial lines of coverage such as business owners, umbrella, property, auto, or general liability coverage, and evaluate every option to find what fits you best. Like a good offensive coordinator, we will draw up the plays, but only run with what you feel comfortable. Get in touch with our quarterback, Perry Orth, or our head coach, Frank, by visiting MoultrieINS.com. MoultrieINS.com.
Welcome back in to 4-Quarter Friday. Justin Hall, Steve Hall with you. It is week number 2. It is not week 1. Get out of here with that garbage. By the way, Lou Bezjak will agree with me when he's on in the fourth quarter because, again, we respect math. All right, now it's time. We had the PD in quarter number 1. We went to the upstate in quarter number 2. It's the third quarter. We're coming out of halftime, and it's time to look at the low country. Steve, there are a ton of great games here, so let's jump right in. Hampton County, the Hurricanes, head to Allendale Fairfax, trying to get to 2-0 on the season. Allendale Fairfax trying to get win number 1. The Cobras of Cane Bay will head to Ashley Ridge to take on the Swamp Foxes. Buford, the Yellow Jackets, I want to make sure we enunciate here. Buford will go to Bamberg Earhart to take on the Red Raiders there. Red Raiders trying to get to 2-0. Winter Park goes to Berkeley. And here's our first moment where we stop. Steve, what are you looking at here between Winter Park and Berkeley?
Well, Winter Park being from Florida, Berkeley went down there last year and had a really close game. I want to say it was the final score might have been 19-14. Berkeley had their chances to win that game, but we're in year 3 of the Eric Lodge era, and then Henry Rivers starting at quarterback. He's gained a lot of experience. They're all they've been building for this season. There was a lot of talent on that field when they played Ashley Ridge last week. And honestly, it was a toss-up. You could have seen that as a toss-up, but Berkeley went in there and kind of handled business and got the win. And now they're looking to go 2-0 and get some revenge on Winter Park. And actually later today, we will have an interview with Coach well, actually, we dropped that interview already. Coach Lodge, if you wanted to go back and watch, we had that preseason interview a few weeks ago. So you can go back and you can hear about that game in particular at Winter Park.
All right, so now we go on to Eau Claire. Actually, we moved to Bethune-Bowman. Let me make sure I get the home team right because we're in the Low Country. Eau Claire, the Shamrocks, getting off to a 1-0 start. How about that for Eau Claire? Eau Claire falling on some hard times trying to get things back under control. I'm saying that about a lot of teams, actually. And I think the parity this year will show that those teams are starting to find their footing. Bethune-Bowman sitting at 1-0. Someone's going to take loss number 1 on the season. The Islanders of St. John's open their season against the battling Bishops of Bishop England. I love the team name. I love the alliteration. And I love the logo. My gosh, I love that logo so much. It's one of the that might be a question for next week. But I'm just going to go let you in a little secret. There's no better high school logo than the Battling Bishops of Bishop England. East Rutherford will go to Blacksburg tonight. The Wildcats hosting, trying to get to 1-1. Andrew Jackson goes to Bluffton tonight. Bluffton's got some great oysters, by the way, just heads up. C.A. Johnson, the Green Hornets, will go to Branchville. Both teams 0-1. C.A. Johnson took a loss to Columbia last week in overtime, trying to get to 1-1 on the season. The Blazers of King Street will head to Carver's Bay to take on the Bears, while the Iron Horses of Philip Simmons will travel to Lucy Beckham to take on the Bengals there, both teams opening their season. The Eagles of Military Magnet will host Academic Magnet. So who wins, the military or the academics? We'll find out tonight. The Tigers of Swansea, after a big win on Thursday last week to open up the season, they head to Denmark-Oler to take on the Vikings in Denmark-Oler. The Blackville Hilda Fighting Hawks head over to Edisto to take on the Cougars, both teams looking to get their first win of the season. The Gators of Goose Creek are 0-1. They're heading over to Fort Dorchester to take on the Patriots. Fort D is 1-0 on the season. And receiving votes, I believe, but they are not ranked. As I look quickly down, they are not ranked and not receiving votes either. Dixie, the Hornets, take on the Predators of Fox Creek. And then Cross goes to North Charleston. 1-0 for both teams. Steve, just want to mention here that Caden Ramsey is set to announce his college commitment decision on September the 8th. So about 10 or so days out from that. So keep an eye on that. But again, Caden Ramsey, the talk of the town when it comes to cross. The Yellow Jackets of Andrews head over to Georgetown. The Bulldogs are 0-1, trying to get to 1-1 as Andrews opens their season. Chesney goes to Broome. I believe that might be in the wrong region, but that's okay. We just missed that one out a little bit. Broome definitely not in the Low Country. Neither is Chesney. Lamar, the Silver Foxes, go to Green Sea Floyd's. Green Sea Floyd's in the Low Country. Both teams are 0-1 there. The Fighting J.B. Bradfords of Wando are 1-0, and they head to Hanahan to take on the Hawks. The Art Craig Bowl, as JB has been dubbing it this week. By the way, Steve, I know JB could be in the chat, or he might mention this right off that 70-0 for Wando. I'll tell you this, that Wando Warrior defense traveled on Monday to get a win in week 1 for them. Again, on the road to Hanahan, but if you can parlay another good defensive effort here, Wando might be getting some conversation again. You don't just have to win your region, but if you're top 2 or 3, you're sitting pretty well going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, as much as they can get, rolling in the out of region, like
right,
gain that confidence. Wando has been down, but coach is bringing them back and trying to change that, and he's doing a really good job. And as you all know, some of the loyal listeners from Inside the Gamecocks being on this show, the only prediction that you will likely ever hear on this show, and it's just because it's tradition, Jamie started it, 70-0 Wando over the Hanahan Hawks.
Right, so that's the only prediction that gets made here. I'll sometimes make one, but that's one that you can mark it. You can carve it into stone. Wando 70-0. Hilton Head will travel to James Island. Both teams 1-0. James Island got a good win last week to open up the year against Great Collegiate. They'll try to move to 2-0. Again, they're good. The Atlantic Collegiate Academy, the Armada. I love that name, the Armada. They'll take their flotilla and their armada, and they will travel over to Johnsonville to take on the Flashes. Heads up, Lance, I just mentioned Johnsonville again. The Flashes are 1-0, trying to get to 2-0. HKT, Hunter Kiner Tyler, will go to Louisville to take on the Lions. Louisville a couple of years ago was putting up points like it's nobody's business. They're 0-1 to start the year. West Ashley will head over to May River. The Sharks are 1-0 because they took care of my Airport Eagles in week number 1 and did so in rather convincing fashion. The Monarchs of Manning will take on the Eagles of Scotts Branch, both teams looking to get win number 1 on the season. Aner goes to St. James. The Sharks open their season against the Blue Jackets of Aner. They're 0-1 are the Aner Blue Jackets, and that's because Aiken, the Fighting Green Hornets, took them down in week 1, and that was Aiken's first win in like 3 years or something crazy.
Actually, the crazy thing is not only did Spring Valley break a really long losing streak of 24 games, but Aiken broke a 25-game losing streak. So congrats to both of those teams, man. That's just fun to see.
That's insane stuff, honestly. It's insane. All right, Hannah Pamplico, the Fighting Josh Turners, will go to Waccamaw to take on the Warriors. Both teams 0-1 there. The Hurricanes of Hardyville will travel to Whale Branch, but on the way back, they're going to have a Buc-ee's there soon, so they can stop there in a couple of years to get that. And then Collin County will go to Woodland to take on the Wolverines. And then the game of the week in the region, maybe the game of the week in the state, is South Florence going to Somerville. Holy what? First of all, credit Drew Marlowe, because that team only has 3 home games all season, and the 3 home games are against Hartsville, Crestwood, and I think Fort Dorchester. That's number 1. Number 2, this game on the road at Somerville. Oh boy, what a ball game we got setting up down there in Somerville.
I can't wait, man. I mean, for me, this is the top game in the state this week. You know, 2 very highly ranked. South Florence ranked number 1 this week. I think Somerville's ranked 2 or 3. Check me on that, Justin. Yep,
number 3.
So, you know, doesn't get better than that. Early in the season, we're only talking about week 2.
Correct. By the way, this is a defending state champion taking on the defending. You can't be defending
lower state champion.
The runner. Yeah, the runner up for a state championship in Somerville. So a great matchup there, no doubt about it. That's your low country. We got time here, Steve. I tell you what, let's go ahead and hit the Midlands because we got plenty of time.
A little time.
Let's go ahead and hit the Midlands here. That way we can have a full conversation with Lou coming up in quarter number 4. All right, so the Midlands, and full disclosure, folks, in case you need to know where I'm located, I'm in the Midlands. Lived in the Midlands my entire life. So these are the programs that I'm going to be most acutely familiar with because I've probably seen them play in person plenty of times. We start at AC Flora. The Fighting Tommy Moody's are 1-0, hosting Chapin. Chapin did not look good last week at all. Very, very bad. Not a lot of offense there. And they're going to AC Flora. Quarterback Roper Winsky, one of the best quarterback names in the state. AC Flora's got an offense that can score with the best of them, and they got a chance to do that this week against Chapin. Here's your region game. Is this the first region game in the state this season? Airport goes to Aiken, take on the Green Hornets. Airport 0-1, trying to get win number 1, trying to get a win in region play. It'd be huge. How do you gear yourself up for a region game in week 2? I have no idea, but they've had extra days to prepare for it. Wagner Sally goes to Batesburg Leesville. This is official. This game is happening this week. If you didn't watch last week, you understand the reference. This game is happening this week. And if you're heading to Batesburg Leesville, as always, I fully expect you to have your fair share of barbecue before making your way over to the stadium. And Wagner Sally has a wonderful, delightful bakery that you should visit whenever you're in the town of Wagner. It's fantastic and worth your time. Great stuff. Pillion, the Panthers, will travel up the road to the downtown area to take on the Capitals of Columbia. Both teams 1-0. Got a chance there to get to 2-0. Someone's got to do it. Here's a game that I've been monitoring. I've talked to both coaches, 2 first-year coaches at their programs, Coach Perry Parks at River Bluff, Coach Lewis Clyburn at Brooklyn Casey. Lewis Clyburn brought in Scotty Dean as his defensive coordinator. He brought in G.A. Mangus as his offensive coordinator. They got a lot of talent on that coaching staff, but they're young, a sophomore quarterback. River Bluff's quarterback dealt with injuries all offseason, threw a pick 6 to open the game against Rock Hill, and they struggled the rest of the way, kind of fought their way back, but couldn't get back all the way. That's a 5A team traveling to Brooklyn Casey, who's 4A, a season opener for BC in a new era. That's a game to keep an eye on. Should be a good one over at the Fort Knox.
Justin, just to rewind one more, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
AC Flora and Chapin.
Mm-hmm.
These two teams don't like each other.
They do not.
They do not. They used to be in the same region. And, I anticipate that, yes, AC Flora had a great start. Chapin struggled last week. This game could be a lot closer than some Flora Falcons believe it might be.
Are you saying, are you not so fast, my friending me, the day before Lee Corso's final game day?
No more predictions for me, but yes, not so fast.
Not so fast, my friends.
Honorably.
There you go. Lugoff Elgin, a big win last week over Lower Richland at home. They traveled to Camden. What a great rivalry game that is. Camden, a lot of talent. Lugoff Elgin's got speed. I'm telling you, on the outside, they got speed. Keep an eye on that game. Spartanburg will travel down to the Midlands to take on Dutch Fork as Dutch Fork opens their season, and in yet another title defense against the Vikings of Spartanburg. Union County will go to Fairfield Central, both teams looking for win number 1. The Wildcats of Lexington will host North Augusta on a new field over at the new Wildcat Hollow. Both teams 1-0. That's a nice looking field over there, by the way, Steve, if you haven't seen it. Wilson will go to Gilbert. Wilson always gives the Indians fits, and Gilbert gives Gilbert gives the Wilson Tigers fits too.
Hey, Gilbert America.
Week number 2 for them, and it's actual Friday night, not affected by weather. They should be full throat there. We talked to Coach Norman Washington earlier. His Spring Valley Vikings will travel to Lower Richland to take on the Diamond Hornets. I always have trouble including the Hornets there. I know them as the Diamonds, but the Diamond Hornets trying to get to 1-1 after that loss to Lugoff Elgin. Blythewood got the win over Nation Ford last week. They will go to Midland Valley this week. Both teams 1-0, trying to get to 2-0. Newberry will host Mid Carolina, another great matchup there. The Fighting Hornets of Ware Shoals will take on 96. 96 is 0-1, trying to get to 1-1 on the season. The American Leadership Academy Patriots will host the Camden Military Academy Spartans. American Leadership trying to get to 2-0 on the season. The Crestwood Knights will travel to R&E. R&E trying to pick up the pieces after letting that game get away from them, getting it taken away from them last week. They're 0-1. Saluda will go to Ridge Spring Minetta. So what you can do is you can go to that game. You can watch the Saluda Tigers take on the Trojans of Ridge Spring Minetta, and then you can just drive over to the drive-in and watch a movie if you'd like. The Lakeside Panthers will travel to South Aiken. The Thoroughbreds looking to get a win after they fell to their rival Silver Bluff last week. Silver Bluff, coming off of that win, will go to Strom Thurmond. A very sneaky good game there. Both teams 1-0. And then the Timberwolves of White Knoll, after their loss, will go to the Gamecocks of Sumter tonight. Sumter trying to move to 2-0. So that's a look at the Midlands. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. Lou Bezjak from the State Newspaper will join us right here on 4 Quarter Friday.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com.
Do your wood floors need a touch-up? Visit recoatrevolution.com in South Carolina today. Welcome back to 4 Quarter Friday, part of the Chiefs Sports Network. Let's talk ball.
Welcome back in to Four Quarter Friday. Justin Hall, Steve Hall, joined by Uncle Lou Bezjak. Welcome in, Lou.
How you guys doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. First of all, first question for you: where are you going to be at tonight? Where in the world is Lou Bezjak tonight?
River Bluff in Brooklyn, Casey.
Ah, yes. That I'm telling you, in the Midlands, it's an underrated game. New head coaches to their programs. I mean, Lewis Clyburn's been coaching since the mid 90s, and Perry Parks obviously is well traveled as well. All right, Lou, obviously every week you put out your games of the week and games that you're keeping up with on the state newspaper. Make sure you subscribe to his work. Lou does great stuff. We mentioned AC Flora and Chapin before the break, Lou, and Steve made the point that yes, AC Flora looked good last week and Chapin didn't, but it's a rivalry game. The all-time series is actually tied 7-7. So what are you looking for in that game tonight, and give some folks a little bit of insight into that rivalry?
Yeah, it is a underrated rivalry for time. They were both in the same region, but they're two similar kind of schools, very good all across the board in all athletics. And football, it's been up and down. Last year, I remember being at the game, and Chapin just blew them out last year. This year, obviously, much more expected for AC Flora, possibly a title contender in Class 4A. Chapin starting off last week, new quarterback, a lot of new faces. They lost some to transfer, graduation, and that. So I just look to see how their offense is going to bounce back after being shut out for the first time in, I think, 2 or 3 years last week against Catawba Ridge. And can AC Flora, I know they didn't play a complete game. I know they weren't too some areas that they struggled with, to see how their offense can show off tonight. They got 3 really good receivers, a really good quarterback, and I think a defense that has a chance to be pretty good, and that was their struggle a couple years ago. So see how they can match up against Chapin's offense.
Hey, Lou, thanks for joining us, but I have this game that I'm looking at right now, and North Augusta is coming to play at Lexington on their new turf field. So I know Lexington fans and players are excited. How do you see this game? Break down this game for us. How do you see it folding out? Yeah,
it's got the chance to tour the field. It's really nice with the logo in the middle and the blue and gold in the end zone. So it should be a fun atmosphere. And North Augusta, I got to see them a couple times in the scrimmages, and they're pretty big up front. They got Malcolm Gaston, a big offensive lineman. They got Doe at running back. They're very physical. See how Chapin or Lexington's defense will match up against them. And then Lexington's going to be starting a freshman quarterback, Easton Crocker, who came in last week. In relief, Avery Coyle, the starting quarterback, he'll probably be back at the end of the month, but they had another quarterback, but they put Crocker in, freshman. He ran for 3 touchdowns against Gilbert. See how he responds this week now that there's some film on him. See how with a week under his belt, and see what Stuart Young has been able. Now he can game plan around Crocker and see how they can match up against North Augusta.
Am I wrong to know that their center is also a Crocker
his
as
brother.
well?
Yeah, it's his brother and their dad. Justin is the offensive line coach. So it's kind of a cool story. Justin was at White Knoll last few years, also coached at River Bluff. But yeah, it's kind of cool to have coaching his 2 sons, but one's a center and one's a quarterback. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Lou, I almost called you Coach. There you go. There's a new nickname for you. Lou, obviously, Irmo got a good win last week over Oceanside Collegiate. Hard fought, but I think they found their quarterback. They got to go on the road to Burns. That I thought Burns looked pretty good last week, all things considering. Maybe talking to Cole Bryson, who calls their games, kind of made me think, oh, man, they had a rougher year last year than I thought. And then you look at this game from last season. I mean, Irmo had to squeak it against Burns, won by 8. And they haven't played. That game was the first time since 2004 that they played. And you got Trey Cigar on the other side running the football for Burns. He's just an all-around excellent running back for them. and they beat TL Hannah by 20. Obviously, Irmo, I don't want to say survived Oceanside Collegiate, but they got by. What are we looking at for this game in a game against two of the top teams in 5A?
Yeah, I think it's one of the better matchups in the state this week. Irmo going on the road, second straight week. Last week they had to go to Charleston, Mount Pleasant. And now you got to go to the upstate. A little bit of pressure on Burns. They got the new stadium. They struggled having to play all their games on the road last year. So, and I know they're kind of pointing towards this year. So this is kind of a good benchmark game. They got the good win last week. Want to see, I think Dobson played really well for Irmo at quarterback. They were kind of putting things in the first half, and he kind of took over. See how he performs this week. They got Malik. They got to get the ball in Malik Miller's hands, who he's really dynamic, either at running back or receiver. I know Arrington had 3 touchdown catches last week, and we know what Jaden Bryan can do off one edge and Major Taylor the other. So I think it's going to be another close one, kind of like last year.
And Dutch Fork opens up their season in a title defense. I don't really like the term title defense because it's a new season, but they're going for their 4th straight. And they got a new quarterback. Let me make sure I get his name right. Jackson Knotts is how you say that. So Coach Knotts' son's taking over at quarterback there. But obviously Spartanburg's got Trey Burke, who is an East Carolina commit. Sorry to his Pirates last night. They fell to North Carolina State. 18-game winning streak for Dutch Fork. Here's a note for you. If you follow Lou's work, I just got to mention this. They've won 10 or more games in a season. 14 of the last 15 years, Dutch Fork has won at least 10 games. That's an insane amount of consistency and winning. And obviously, Julian Walker on defense for the Silver Foxes. They took care of Spartanburg last week. What's your feel on this one as Spartanburg comes to Midland?
Yeah, in the one year they didn't win 10 games, they won 9. So, I mean,
did they miss out by much?
Pretty wild numbers. Yeah, I think Dutch Fork are not playing in the first week, so might take a little bit to get adjusted. Jackson Knotts taking the starting spot from Ethan off to concentrate on baseball. He's committed to Clemson, but he's got some weapons. Like we mentioned, the transfers. You got Stone Fury, Mike Fury, the USC receivers coach's son at one receiver. You got Coleon Martin, who also came from Chapin at running back. They're pretty big up front. I think you're going to hear this name, Brody Lorenzo, their sophomore center, who started as a freshman. I think he will be, by the time he's a senior, if not some point the next year or two, be one of the top prospects in the state. They're really strong up front. You mentioned Walker, and then you got Jaden Worth, who moved in from Georgia at the other end. So it'll be interesting watching them in the one scrimmage. They kind of rotated them every play almost, or every couple plays. They line them one on one side, one on the other, and they kind of switch. So that makes it harder for defenses. And I think their defense has a chance to could be a record-setting type defense. So, and they'll have their hands full tonight. Spartanburg, they played them a lot over the last few years, and the Trey Burke, like you said, is a pretty dynamic quarterback.
Lou, before we get out of here, you've mentioned a lot of these big-time players that are around the Midlands. Malik Miller, we've already talked about the Dutch Fork guys. What other players are we just now learning about that you think that the fans of the Midlands should be looking out for?
Well, you got guys like Christian Jackson, from Ridgeview, the receiver. I think he's pretty good. They got a pretty good group of receivers. Talked about Florida a little bit. I like Blake Patet, a transfer from Arnie, another good receiver. We mentioned the Irmo guys. Irmo's loaded offensively and defensively. Jaden Bryant, I think, is pretty special. He even got to run the ball a little bit last week. Scored a touchdown. There's a lot. I mean, the Geronimi at White Knoll. Tylen Drakeford, I think, at Camden has a chance to be pretty special with the ball in his hands. And Lugoff Elgin, a couple guys, playmakers at receiver. You got E.J. Richardson, who didn't do much last week, but that's because Shamil Sadiq had 6 catches for 144 yards and a couple touchdowns in their win. So I like those guys as well. There's just a few. I mean, there's so many guys. We mentioned the running backs. I think quarterbacks, you got Trey Howard, you got Roper Winsky, two of the few, Tyler Waller, Dre Dobson, we talked about, Patrick Belk from Heathwood. So there's a lot of guys that I think have a chance to have pretty big years, especially on the offensive side. Defensively, like you said, Walker, Worth, I think Palmer Flakes, pretty good. Hugh Manning, Hammond got some guys. I think Jackson Ross is really underrated. His recruiting starting to pick up. He's a linebacker / he plays tight end too for Hammond. So I think you're going to see more from him. His dad's a basketball coach at Hammond, and he's just a junior. So I think his recruiting will continue to grow.
Yeah, Coach Ross, a former Gamecock there as well, over at Hammond. I'm your local Hammond apologist. So what can I say? Final thing for you, Lou, before we get you out of here. Lugoff Elgin at Camden. You mentioned Shamil Sadiq. Great game last week against Lower Richland, and that's a rivalry game tonight. Coach Remp's son is the starting quarterback for Camden up there at historic Zemp Stadium. What are we looking at in that rivalry matchup really quickly before we get you out of here?
Yeah, Camden's kind of dominated it. See, I think Lugoff has a chance to definitely keep things close. Maybe try to still win there. We mentioned Grayson Remp. He looked pretty decent. I saw him play for a half last week before the game was suspended. But we mentioned Drakeford. They got a good running back in Boykin. But a guy that really impressed me was Bernard Green. He's a sophomore. He's a running back. He also catches ball out of the backfield. And I think he has a chance to be pretty special. And Dontrell Wilson, defensive end for Camden, is also pretty good, along with Tyler Edwards. So it should be fun. Great atmosphere. Zemp's one of the best places to watch a game in the area, and especially on a rivalry night. I know it will be packed, and a lot of interest in Kershaw County.
Lou Bezjak, the state newspaper, Uncle Lou, as he's affectionately known in my book. Thank you, bud. Appreciate it. He'll be at River Bluff and Brooklyn Casey tonight, and I look forward to talking with you in about 12 or 13 hours. How's that sound?
Let's hope. Hopefully no overtime tonight.
Hopefully not. That's Lou Bezjak from the state newspaper. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us on Four Quarter Friday. Steve, that's the way to close it out for sure with Lou. The voice of high school football in the Midlands when it comes to covering every team. There's no question on that. He's got it all down, and he's following every team. And I'm glad you asked about the players. We talked about this a little bit in before we came on the air. It's about the players. It's about the players. It's about the hometowns. It's about these atmospheres. He mentioned Zemp Stadium. We mentioned the BAB earlier. I mean, it's here. It's here. Full-fledged high school football. We've got tape. We've got teams that have already played. We got new stadiums. We got new fields. We got new turf. We got players who are ready to ascend to that level of legend status in South Carolina when it comes to high school football and high school sports in general. And it gets the blood pumping. It gets you excited. It makes you look forward to 7:30 on a Friday night.
Absolutely, man. I'm so glad we talked about the Camden Lugoff game just to tie things up. That's a huge rivalry. Camden's won 6 straight, and all-time series is 36-8. So, I can hear some Clemson fans talking to South Carolina fans in my ear, kind of on that line. But looking forward to seeing it. And man, if anybody did not get the chance to hear the intro song to the show today, go back and listen to it. It'll get you even more pumped for Friday Night Lights.
It absolutely will. So that's it. That's our show for today. Yep. We appreciate you joining us on Four Quarter Friday. Again, just a reminder, download the Chief Sports app to follow the scoreboard every single game in the state. You can follow those scores. You can stream the games as well on your phone by downloading the Chief Sports app. And by the way, 10 o'clock, right off the top, there's a game in Atlanta this week. Don't know if you heard, between Virginia Tech and South Carolina. The guys on Inside the Gamecocks, they got a whole preview show coming up. Michael Flint, John Strickland, Rafael Esparza, the late night Gamecock Matt Anderson, plus JB, JC, and Mad Dog, all of them from 10 to 1. I'll be tuning in. You should too. For Steve Hall, I am Justin Hall. Enjoy your Friday night football. This has been Four Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network.
From the Low Country to the Upstate, from the Midlands to the PD, we've got you covered. This is our state. South Carolina matters to us. All of South Carolina. We love talking ball, and we love talking ball with you. Thank you for tuning in to the Four Quarter Friday High School Show. Every Friday at 9 a.m. on the Chief Sports Network. Now, back to Justin and Steve.